Hi everyone, welcome back to the Watch Insider. My name is Brian. Thank you for logging on. I am joined today by CQ.
It is me, CQ the Watch Guy, back again.
Yeah, 2 for 2 right now.
Yeah, man, pleasure as always. Last time was fun. I think it should be a good one.
I got the late night text last night that Tim wouldn't be joining us, so I got my I don't want to say that you're like a number 2 to Tim.
Hey, listen, I'm the best substitute
they're really here to see him.
There is. You know, when the bat signal comes out, CQ answers the call every time.
Yeah. But welcome back, everybody. While I get this loaded up on my computer, and Q also needs to get it loaded up on his computer. While we're doing that, why don't we do a quick wrist check?
All right. You want to go first or me go first?
You go first.
All right. So today, let's see if we get it. Can we get on the money? Super Avenger, boom. Super Avenger limited edition with black PVD coating. I love this watch. This was honestly one of my first Grail watches ever when I started selling watches. Started selling watches back in 2000, and beginning of 2011, end of 2010. This particular watch came out in 2008, and I remember when I started selling Super Avengers, I was like, oh, I love it, but I wanted something a little bit more rugged, something I could beat up. And then I Googled and I found this, and I saw it in the safe, so I said, let's pull it out. But this one's beautiful, mint condition. What I love about this watch, it's big, but it's sizable for a reason. It's durable. You have those really nice aviator stencil numbers. It's a chronograph, and I don't know. I just love the look of it, and I've always loved it.
Awesome.
What you got on?
Yeah, and it's in great shape, too.
Yeah, no, this one's mint. This one's like, I almost feel guilty for wearing it, but not really.
So here we have, I've brought this watch on the show before. Here we have I'll have Q show it off, an early Roger Dubuis sympathy watch. Haven't actually taken it out for a spin in a while, and I thought, what better day than Wednesdays to show it off here on the show. 38 millimeter in size, rose gold, perpetual calendar. It's that older style sympathy case where the crystal is cut to be the shape of the case. I'd been a fan of these references for a really long period of time. Not too many of them actually come across our desks.
No.
And the first one that came in was actually a chrono. It was a little bit too thick on the wrist. I thought that it sit up a little bit too high, and I just, when you've got that, when you really want something, but there's that little bit of doubt, I just didn't do it. And finally this one came in, and I said, you know what, I'm going to strike, because it was literally just, it's not often that a watch just, gives me that funny, that fuzzy feeling on the inside, but this one did, and
How long have you had this one?
I've had it for about a year now.
Yeah, I remember in Florida, to be honest with you, like one of the first times that I knew like you were a real watch guy, I remember maybe we got the chrono in, and like you were so like in love with it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what's this watch that he's in love with? And it's like this little Roger Dubuis, and there was like so much character. I was like, I didn't know you then. We were like so fresh. I was like, this guy really, really enjoys really nice watches. Because like, if you see this in person, the character of this watch is gorgeous. The size is perfect. And it just like, I wish Roger Dubuis made something like this today, because it's such a beautiful watch. And like, I don't know what's like the price point of this. Like right now, this is probably such a great value, but it's just such.
You really don't even see that many of them posted. And what I really like about the watch is that it looks handmade. And I think that's one of the characteristics that I think I also like about early Journes and some of the independents.
You can see that artisan, that real feel.
It looks like the guy. Every single one's different, and it looks like. It looks like each one is individual in nature. So, but welcome back, everybody. We've got a lot of our regulars here on the show, so thank you guys for joining us this week. We've got a great lineup of watches. Tonight's show is called Unusual Suspects, and the reason being is that it is a smorgasbord of really cool, interesting pieces. We're going to go into each and every one of them, and in the meantime as well, please, if you have any questions about any of the watches and or anything watch-related in general, feel free to ask, because this is what the Wednesday show is all about.
Ooh, all right, perfect. It's got a lot.
Okay. Which watch should we get started with, Q?
Ooh, you pick. We have actually, to be honest, it's a really good lineup. We probably picked this like a half hour ago, right?
Yeah.
And this is like really good selection. This is...
So we'll start with this watch here. So we'll start with a little bit of sport. Here we have a really unique piece, something that you don't see often at all. To be honest, I did not even see one on the internet available for sale to give us an idea of, even to get pictures from. So here we have a Pride of Indonesia. And I'm sure that obviously if Tim was here, he would probably go into a lot more background in terms of the edition in general. But AP in the past had made different limited editions for specific markets. You have the Pride of Mexico, Indonesia, Argentina, and a lot of other markets. This is
Russia as well.
Russia. This is the Pride of Indonesia. And what I found so fascinating about the watch, number one was the titanium case, which is pretty rare on the offshore, and number two was the rose accents. I'm a sucker for rose gold against titanium.
Like even on the buckle, right? You got titanium with rose gold on the tang there. That's sweet.
you've got it there on the crown, and you have it on the back plate of the watch as well, and then some of the accents on the dial. So the watch is a really light feeling to it when it's on the wrist. Personally, I probably would rather it on a rubber strap, but it came on Croc originally. And I just think that it's got a really rich look on a 42mm sport watch like this. So I think this is probably one of the better variations of the watch in general.
Yeah, I'd agree. There's so many cool APs out there throughout the years. There's even one called, like, if you Google the Royal Oak Suede edition, it has pink, rose gold pushers on it. AP does really cool little unique editions like this. This particular one came in maybe a few days ago. I remember it's on your desk, and it's so mint and it's beautiful because you got that kind of dullness to the titanium, gray dial with the rose gold accents, inner bezel as well with rose gold, and then you got that nice full gold, rose gold black, and it's just a beautiful watch. And it's like, these are unique APs that you hunt for, that you look for, that like literally we couldn't find any others out there except some guys with some stock images, because when you buy a watch like this, you kind of keep it, right? It takes something very special to make you want to swap out of a watch like this. And I agree, I think a gray rubber would kind of look really nice on. I don't mind the leather, but the rubber would kind of give it that
a little bit more of a casual feel.
Yeah, casual
and
feel.
I really like what you said about being the kind of piece that somebody searches for, because I think that that's something that you don't really think about too much, is when you have certain edition, and it's one of my favorite parts of, let's call it the pre-owned watch industry, is that you have watches like this that came out a long time ago that were in small batches, but are still very relevant and desired today. And you look and you say to yourself, okay, they've only made 50 or 100 of something, and there's none available online. You really don't know where any of them are. And you search and you wait for that opportunity that when one pops up, you strike. And it could take a day, it could take a month, or it could take could take a year for the right watch to come up.
Could be years, because I think we never had one of these in inventory. And again, it's something that, like, you get it, you want to hold on to. And I wish AP did more little small batch limited editions like this that kind of make you want to hunt for it, because it's just so cool, so unique, and it's like fun. Like, who doesn't want this watch? This particular one is super, super minty with, I think this is service stickers on it as well. It's pretty cool.
Beautiful. Okay. Guys, please keep the questions coming. Oh, I'm logged into our head producer's account right now, so I'm gonna probably do a lot of stuff for him to get reported by YouTube. Let's keep going here. We've got some. Let's completely change it up. So here's a brand that we really don't see too often, because ultimately they don't make that many watches. So here we have a MB&F LM 101, and we brought on MB&Fs in the past in the show.
Sure.
Never this particular one, or even this model variation. So this watch right here is they came out with the LM1, then the LM2. The watch was 42 millimeters. It was a little bit bigger, and then they came out with the LM 101, which is 40 millimeters in diameter. It's a pared down version of the LM1. Instead of 2 lacquer dials on the front, it only features 1 now. Instead of a vertical power reserve indicator, there's a simple dial indication at 6 o'clock with the 48-hour power reserve. And I think that this probably encapsulates the entire essence of the watch in a more pared down wearable version. And to me, it's got that flying balance there on the front of the dial.
So
and I think that the look of this watch, to me, like, if I close my eyes and I think independent manufacturer, like, this is the watch, or one of the watches that comes to my mind.
Yeah, this is very MB&F, and like, it's just beautiful. Really classy, well laid out watch, but so kind of experimental. You got that dome crystal right there, and you just got that floating escapement just going wild, and such, very little visible on the dial besides the escapement, the 2 dials, and the little wheel there. And it's just a really great example of what MB&F does. MB&F is not for everybody. They do very kind of quirky pieces, but it's kind of a watch that if it speaks to you, it really speaks to you. And I could see this, something as almost a daily wear, because it's fun, it's funky, it's cool, and it's not something that you see every day. Really, really not something you see every day.
Yeah, no, this is the kind of watch where you're, unless you're at a gathering of other guys that pretty much collect MB&F.
Yeah, it has to be an MB&F specific situation.
Or just, like a group of guys that just like independent brands. Nobody else is going to be wearing this watch. And I just think that it's, it's beautiful in its execution. It's simple but complicated at the same time. And as I've stated on the show before, I think creating a simple time-only watch, which in essence this pretty much is something very difficult. And it takes one of the most beautiful features of the watch that's generally only visible through the back and puts it on the front. And I think that it was executed beautifully. It's a dome sapphire. It's a conversation piece. You see this on somebody's wrist and you say like, A, wow, B, that's a work of art, and C, can you tell me about this?
Exactly. And it's still very readable too. It's not too like, you could actually see what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. So is this Tim Masso on the chat? Actually, it's not Tim Masso. So the Tim Masso that's on the chat, shame on you.
No,
this is not
Tim Masso.
the real Tim Masso. So you know what? You should be ashamed of yourself.
There can only be
man.
one Masso.
There can only be one Masso. Okay. Let's talk about the Harry Winston over here on the left, because every time I see this watch, I just drool over it. So here we have a Harry Winston Ocean Chronograph in Xalium. Xalium is a proprietary material developed by Harry Winston. And the overall execution of the watch is, exactly as you see. It's a sport chrono on a rubber strap, very unique look. I mean, to me, again, one of those underrated, should be more popular sport watches that's on the market. It's incredibly comfortable on the wrist. It's a 44 millimeter chrono that fits a lot smaller because the lugs taper down. And it wears well on somebody with my size wrist and then somebody with your size wrist. So you put it on right now because I want them to see what it looks like on your wrist, and I'm going to put it on mine so they can see what it looks like on mine. You can get these watches at great prices. I think that there's so much value in this particular type of watch that, again, if coming from another brand would probably cost a whole lot more.
Oh yeah, especially like on a pre-owned side, I think Harry Winston is like one of those brands that if you're somebody who really, you're kind of struggling, you have your sub, you have everything else, you want something unique to dive into, I think Harry Winston has so many cool brands like the Z4s and all, so many cool models, I should say, that you could dig into. And right now on pre-owned, you're getting a great value, and something like this.
And it's so comfortable and light. I mean, you could even see, like, on my wrist, we'll say that I'd say it looks just as good on my wrist as it does on yours, and I think that's a testament to the case construction as well as the lug construction here on just how it fits. And I just think, again, a lot of bang for your buck. And if you're looking for a really cool sport watch to wear and you're not looking to spend a crazy amount of money on the watch, this is going to be that perfect thing.
I think so. It's a win. It's a win. Harry Winston, definitely. So many cool ones out there.
And I think he gets a bad rep, honestly, because again, you've got it's similar to me in the way that folks sort of experience Cartier, right? So you've got really cool Cartier watches, or Bulgari, for example. Like Bulgari is making amazing pieces. Like if you hold an Octa Finissimo in your hands, or the Octa Finissimo Tourbillon, like it's the thinnest tourbillon in the world. It's the thinnest automatic watch in the world, the thinnest minute repeater in the world. Like they are magnificent. And I think that it gets a bad rap because of the overall brand in general. Everybody lumps everything in. And I think it's the same thing with Harry Winston, because somebody here on this, who said it here? Let me see. Somebody said they should stick to jewelry, and honestly, like I couldn't disagree more, because these watches are amazing. And I think that Harry Winston was also, the first ones to really start the whole independent movement into independent watches, because a lot of their collaborations that they were doing in the Opus line with these independent watchmakers is what put the independent watchmakers on the map for people to even get interested. So I think that without the Opus line, you would have seen the watch direction go in a completely different direction.
I agree. I think they're one of the brands that had that bank, that equity to be able to like just shell cash out there and have some fun with the Opus line. So many cool brands from all your big guys, have done stuff with the Opus line. And I don't know, there's a lot of brands out there. You can say Chopard, Bulgari. There's so many great brands that because it has such a great jewelry presence, people are like, oh, they can't make good watches. But I say the Chopard LUC line is some of the best out there. What Bulgari's doing with the Finissimo line is amazing. So definitely, if a brand makes jewelry, don't just discount their watchmaking side. Because if you dig, even like a brand Bulgari, they've been making watches for a long time.
Exactly. And, they've internalized Daniel Roth, which, again, was a known movement manufacturer. So I think all of these brands, especially Harry Winston, folks should be taking a look at their watches because they're made beautifully. And let's face it, they're really good buys at the moment. So
I agree.
Okay. So let's keep going. What should we do next?
Let's do this Parmesan.
Okay.
I love it.
Dig into it.
It's Parmesan Tanda Hemisphere. I love Parmesan. This is a brand that I got a chance to sell really early in my career. Doesn't get the credit it deserves. Who knows why, but all in-house made, beautiful. This one's a Tanda Hemisphere. So you have 2 time zones here, 18 karat rose gold, beautifully finished movement, and just a really, really nice watch. Very, very good. These are golden ratio when they do the lugs as well. So these are probably some of the most comfier watches up there with even a Moser, I'd say. And I think Parmesan right now is one of those brands where, I don't know, just because marketing or for whatever reason, some people say because Parmesan is kind of an Italian name, there's that, oh, it doesn't sound Swiss to me type of situation. But I think there's some of the best value watches out there, because look at this. You have a multi-dimensional dial. Everything's on its own kind of level there. The beautiful finishings that's even done on the dial, and pretty much all their watches are pretty awesome. And this one's a nice, good size of 42 millimeters as well. I think definitely Parmesan is one of those brands that if you dig into it, there's a lot of cool pieces out there that one day I think this brand catches back on fire.
Yeah, I mean,
I love them.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with a brand where it's predominantly in-house movements, if not all in-house movements.
All in-house.
You've got, here you've got a rich dial that's built on top of the main plane of the watch. You've got the Geneva seal stripes there, and Hermes straps. It's the only manufacturer, I believe, that Hermes makes the straps for outside of their own. And I just think that, again, this is another brand that I'll be the first to say, I mean, if you're paying full retail for this watch, you're going to take a bath.
It's tough.
It's tough. But that being said, they offer incredible value in the pre-owned market. And I think that this watch right here is a prime example of why folks should be looking at the pre-owned space. And again, you can get an amazing watch at incredible value. And the watches are built to last hundreds of years, and you can see when they're in great condition or whatnot, and it gives you the ability to get something A, that's either not made anymore, or B, from a manufacturer like this where you wouldn't have wanted to spend all the money in order to get a new one.
100%.
But somebody else took the first hit, and you can get into it at a good price.
Exactly. Definitely a brand that I think if the retails were a little bit lower, like they started out when they started the brand with lower retails, and inched up in the future would have been a good play for them. But I still have so much hope because I think it's such a cool concept. I love the fact that Michel Parmigiani, restores everything for the Patek family in the museum. I love that the Sandoz family just loved his work so much that they invested in him. So I think this is like a nice example of a true independent being funded by people who love him. I think they just maybe produce a little bit too much pieces. But on pre-owned side, some of the best buys out there is Parmigiani. You really can't beat it.
Yeah, and what I also really, and one of the other interesting facets of the watch, then we can move on to something else, is just, this particular example with the way that it's sort of almost a skeletonized dial, gives it almost an avant-garde look where it's not super traditional. It's got like a bit of an edge to it. Almost like a Grubel quality in a way where
it does, because it's big, it's using the real estate, but the case itself is still very, very traditional. Besides the lugs being like a little bit oversized there, but when you go to the dial, it's definitely very avant-garde and something that you wouldn't see every day. And many brands would charge much, much more, for a dial that looks like that with the movement and the finishing that goes along with it as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Go Parmesan.
Let's see. What should we do next?
Ooh, what do we have left? We have the Bell & Ross and we have the UN.
We'll end on the Bell & Ross. Let's do the UN here. Okay.
I've been waiting to see this so long.
So this, I believe it was new last year.
Yeah, these probably just started coming out.
Just started delivering.
Yeah.
So here we've got the new 42 millimeter Ulysse Nardin diver. Beautiful watch. It's got a concave bezeled domed crystal. Super straightforward at the 42 millimeter size. It's an entry level price point for them. And it's got that sort of new vintage inspiration where it's like I guess it's nouveau vintage.
Yeah.
But the watch when I tried the watch on, it actually felt smaller than a 42, which I really like because 42s tend to be a little bit large for me. And I just think the watch is beautiful. Again, you've got a luminescent dial. You've got like a sail nylon type strap. I believe they make a rubber strap for the watch also. And then instead of putting the location in which the watch is made, they put the longitude, latitude on there sort of to give it that nautical theme. But overall, I just think the watch was beautifully executed. And I really like the direction that Ulysse Nardin is going with these watches.
I think UN is the brand to watch. If you're like, if all the brands were public, and you had to buy stock, I'd buy stock in UN, because what they're doing right now is actually making watches that people actually want to buy and making watches that look cool. Because really the only knot that you could say is maybe longitude and latitude. I love they did a custom version where you could get you could change that up a little bit. But besides that, this is an awesome little diver on the strap. Price point isn't too crazy. Nice vintage style on the hands. It doesn't look like every other diver out there, and that's what I like about it. I like a diver that looks unique, that you really don't know that this is a UN off the bat, but the execution is really, really well done, and it still has a lot of the UN characteristics that we like. The only thing that's missing is maybe the upside down Cyclops on the date. But look at that date wheel, beautiful, coloring,
and it's
blue.
Yeah, it's a cool date at 6 o'clock.
Exactly, I like it. It's well done. It's not boxed. It's a circle, so you could tell somebody in the design department there really made sure this watch is well done, and I love these. I think these are going to do very, very well. I'm very surprised that we have one so fast, to be honest with you, because this is an awesome watch.
Yeah, and it's not an integrated rubber strap either, as it's featured on most other the Ulysse Nardin sport watches.
You could have a lot of fun changing straps on this.
Correct. Yeah, you could throw like a suede on there, and I just think that it's a really good direction for the brand to go in, where it's almost a casual sport watch. It's not super sporty to where you're like, okay, like I can't dress that up a little bit, but this is the kind of thing that you could definitely wear every day. And again, it comes back to all things. If you are looking for something that's impossible to find, which is, again, we know what watches those are. This is, to me, like a great example of a watch where you can get into a really cool brand with a really cool watch that you're not just going to see on everybody's wrists.
Exactly, and I feel like you're not going to lose too much on the value side on these. I think these will do actually pretty well. I think they'll do really well.
Yeah. And guys, please, again, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me or Q, because now is the time. We've got one more watch to go, and then they're going to kick us out of this studio.
Wait. First, we got to shout out Edward Ledin, who's always there. Who else is there? Robert Dixon
Kevin
is
S.
somewhere.
We've got Matt Forster. Welcome back, as always. A lot of the regulars are here.
Yeah, everybody. The fake Tim Mosso's out there. Clive, I see you trolling. Troll with a question, buddy. Let's make it interesting. We don't mind the trolls. It'd be nice to make some wacky little questions there so we can have some fun. Don't
look at this. We've got Thierry Stern. Thierry Stern logging in.
I've made it.
Might as well buy views and subscribers. Good job being fascist and banning people. Honestly, we don't need to buy views because you're watching the show.
Yeah, that's true. I feel really honored that Terry's actually watching the show.
Yeah, thank you, Thierry,
I wish I were
logging in.
tie.
I would have brought a paddock on the show if I knew Thierry Stern was logging in.
Oh, man. Hey, Phil B, how you doing? Watch Doctor.
The Provincial Gentry, when will TGV be on? Honestly, hopefully soon. I'd love to do a show with him sometime soon. I think it would be, really cool. We're just trying to come up with a interesting concept to do on an episode.
Yeah, I think they have some stuff coming very soon with TGV. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, maybe not. Okay, I think some things are coming soon. I think he's a cool guy. I actually just saw him 5 minutes out there.
It's pronounced Ledin. Okay, there we go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, come on, Keo.
I'm not the best with pronunciations. I know. Thank God we don't have Jeje's here today. And there's probably Parmesan. I'm sorry. I'm doing multiple accents. Okay, so. But Edward, you know that I love you. You know it.
Okay, let's end with the.
This is actually pretty cool.
Yeah. So this is a watch that I actually sold originally. I had the fortune of taking it back in. It's from a really special client of ours. So here we have a limited edition Bell & Ross Jump Hour watch. It was limited to 25 pieces in platinum. It was the first Jump Hour that they had produced. It was based on a aviator watch from the past. And I just thought it was one of those watches where, again, the name of this show for today was Unusual Suspects, and I can't think of any more of an unusual suspect than a Bell & Ross Platinum Jump Hour. The watch happens to be very cool looking in person. Functionally, it's pretty straightforward. Again, it's a jump hour with a date. You've got a power reserve indicator there at the bottom. Overall, really simple aesthetic with that gray against the white. It's got a heft on the wrist just because of the weight of the platinum.
Yeah, it's meaty.
It's definitely a meaty watch. And I think that it's like a really cool, interesting, quirky piece that if you're looking for something that's off the beaten path, and again, this is pre-owned, so it's going to be available at a good price. Obviously, you can imagine what the retail was at the time. But again, if you're looking for a really cool, quirky watch that is from a brand that was really experimenting with this piece on something interesting, I think that this is this is the watch for you.
I think that's a great point. Experimenting is a great word there, because Bell & Ross has had some fun with this, and there's that piece they did in Argentinium that was pretty cool. I really like this because I like any watch that's kind of like a regulator style where it separates where you tell time and the power reserve. It's nice, it's simple, but it's very, very unique. in the way it looks. Not something that you think Bell & Ross would make. And that's another brand that I think they make these little experimental pieces, and people say, hey, that's not what I'm looking from Bell & Ross. But it's nice to see a brand that, was known for the square aviator watch to kind of branch out a little bit and make some things that are a little bit cool. And like, this watch is a beautiful watch. So she's done in platinum with the nice big power reserve, and I just love the layout of it. You could tell they were really having some fun with it, and just a nice, cool piece from Bell & Ross, and definitely the unusual suspect that we have right now.
And you know what? And I think that like it's one of those. Bell & Ross is an example of a brand where I can, obviously they boomed,
yes,
and then they've ebbed a little bit in recent years. It's actually, but I honestly, I own a Bell & Ross. I'm a big fan of the brand, and as I say consistently on the show, it is very hard for a brand to produce a watch that from a distance, call it 25 feet away, somebody knows exactly what you are wearing. And I think that is now one of the hallmarks of any model that's going to do really well is, can you see from across the room what somebody's wearing and know exactly what it is, and tell about the DNA of the brand. And I think that's something that Bell & Ross did, and they were one of the first brands to produce that type of look at that price point. And again, for a either retro inspired watch or one of their BRO 392s, which is the square watch at a $3,000 to $5,000 price point, I just think it's hard to beat, and it makes, I can argue a great case for a cool Bell & Ross to be a part of anybody's collection.
I'd say so. It's definitely polarizing. You have to either love the case or love the exact watch. Like the BRO3, the Heritage with the gold flakes, $100 is a beautiful watch. And they're a brand that isn't afraid to experiment. They don't overproduce. They didn't make a million of these pieces. They didn't go far outside their identity. They stick with their DNA, and they still watch a brand that really sells pretty consistently. So definitely a cool brand to keep an eye on. I think all the brands here, to be honest with you, even your Roger Dubuis, are all brands that are brands you should investigate, because there's so many cool pieces. Even this AP, there are many dealers who are newer in the industry who probably would think this is a fake watch.
Somebody logged in this May.
Oh, geez. Hey, Brian. Are you the real Brian Govberg?
I've got Brian Govberg here. Oh, they deleted his comments already.
It's not the real Brian Govberg. Or are you the clone? Who's the real Brian?
But yeah, so a couple questions coming from the chat. What is a Grail watch of mine? It's a good question.
That is a good question. You actually have a very interesting watch taste. You don't fall in the normal categories. You do have a Aquanaut, but look at this. This is not so, when I saw you holding this, I was like, oh, he has real love for watches, because it's such a unique watch. It's not I remember Josh Thanos bought one in maybe 2-3 years ago, and you're like, oh, you're just fawning over that watch. What is a Grail watch for you?
A Grail watch for me right now, I think it's 5970G. So I mean, it's something that I absolutely love the watch. Feel like I'm not quite old enough yet to pull it off, even though I wish I was. I've convinced myself that I am, but I don't know. And it's one of those pieces that I definitely know that I want to have in my collection, but I'm just not ready to do it yet.
Yeah, that'd be a great piece.
Kevin S., what does Brian own from Bell & Ross? I own a BRO 392. They did a limited edition where it had an orange Velcro strap, and I just think when it if I was, and I just honestly when I saw it, I don't really own any watches with orange. I never thought I would own a watch with orange on it, but I think if you're gonna own a Bell & Ross, why not have the really sick, thick Velcro strap?
Exactly. That's actually a cool piece, too. I think there's so many great watches out there. We get stuck in these categories, and even us, we end up selling the same brands over and over, but there's so many cool watches. The hardest part about today was going through all the different random brands. There's so many funky pieces that we could have brought. So definitely feel free to explore a little bit, have some fun. Give us a call. If you're tired of what you have, you're doing a regular thing. You have all the subs, you have all the Datejust, you have all the regular suspects. Call one of our guys up, ask about something unusual, because every day a watch comes by like this AP, where I don't know if this will even make it to the website, because it's such a beautiful watch. Somebody will watch this video today and be like, I've never seen a watch like this before. It's in such great condition. I want to buy that. And there's so many cool pieces like that. So always, feel free to shoot somebody an email and see what kind of quirky. I mean, we had an iPod in that I still think about a year ago. There's so many cool brands out there that just kind of pop up.
Yeah, and a couple other pieces. I mean, right off the top of my head, I'm still a big fan of the early Roger Dubuis. Yeah. So I think if another gorgeous 38 Sympathy came in with a cool dial configuration, or the Homage Chrono would probably be a watch that
that's a nice watch.
I would want to take down.
Use some nice chronos. Any good questions there?
I think any other good questions?
What's your Grail FP Journe? That's a good one.
Grail FP Journe, that's a tough one. Honestly, I think another early residence or early turb would probably be a Grail for me. Every single one of those older ones is different.
It's so unique because we had the fourth ever, which had a beautiful dial, and then we had another one that we sold to another client that had like almost a smoky tobacco dial, like somebody puts cigar smoke in there, and they really are their own character, and you're like, definitely FP himself probably touched some part of this watch. So there's a whole romance in that he actually made the watch and it's brass smooth before he couldn't afford the rose gold, and they just developed such a beautiful patina that I'd agree with that. Any early like resonance or I like the two button chronographs as well. I really enjoy those pieces.
So finding like the right combination of case material with the way that the dial has patinaed over time, I think, along with how early is the watch, I think would be like that sort of combination in terms of what I would be looking for.
And you really can't even find those brass movements on the market right now.
Okay. Well, I think that is all that we have for today.
This was a good show.
For all of you guys that tune in regularly, thank you so much for logging in. CQ and I really appreciate it. For all you trolls that keep coming onto the show, please, we love the activity. So
Just
YouTube, keep it coming. We like this. It helps with the ratings on YouTube, and it actually raises our profile and gets us in front of more people, from what I've been told. So keep the activity up.
Interaction works.
Interaction works. So again, my name is Brian. This is the Watch Insider. Thank you guys for logging on.